So Dr. Evans has asserted that other expert witnesses have backed up his opinions on occasions when he's been criticised, which have been numerous. Dr. Evans and his opinions are essentially 95% of the prosecution case. Dr. Bohin. So her role in this court case was to peer review the work of Dr. Evans. Now, what occurred in this peer review is on the screen now, as reported by the Court of Appeal, and it's noted that all of the conclusions of Dr. Evans were handed to Dr. Bohin before she began any of her work, and then she just essentially said, "Oh yes, I agree with all of his conclusions." So literally everyone that I've spoken to with both scientific and medical qualifications has concluded that this does not constitute a peer review and that it was a deeply flawed process. I don't think you really need any scientific background in order to understand that you're introducing a massive aspect of bias into the whole process if you hand over the conclusions before any work is done. It would be particularly extraordinary if Dr. Bohin, who admitted that she had no experience of air embolism, agreed with Dr. Evans entirely, who also said that he had no experience of air embolism, and they both would have to cite this obscure paper from 1989 that neither of them had seen before, that neither of them had read before. In a case such as this, where there are some pretty extraordinary diagnoses made that are for a very rare condition, regardless of how that was arrived at, and the process that Dr. Evans arrived at it back was deeply unsatisfactory, regardless of that, you really want someone peer reviewing the case. If they're going to arrive at the same conclusion, they must do that independently, given how unusual it was. So the fact that this extremely obscure condition was just handed over, then Dr. Bowen goes, "Oh yeah, that must be the case," is a joke, frankly. In my view, it's an absolute joke. They must know that a peer review where someone comes up with some extremely obscure diagnosis based on one diagnostic source that was published literally 28 years before you begin the process, you're using that as the sole diagnostic source, even though you admit you don't understand the condition, you don't know anything about it, you've never encountered it before, but you just, oh look, here's a academic study that was produced nearly 30 years ago. That will do as the diagnostic source for everything. We'll say, oh look, there's a rash there, there's a rash there, there's a rash there. It's basically all the same thing. Now we'll hand that over to Dr. Bohin. Oh yeah, Dr. Evans is correct about everything. That's not a peer review, that's a joke.
Well, I didn't put her in jail, the jury did.